Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is the one and only Maxi here, and I'm from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present to you our new Let's Play for the channel, and this time we're going to be jumping into the sequel to Banjo Kazooie, known as Banjo-Tooie. First came out in 2000 for the Nintendo 64/2001 in Europe, while usually, as you can see on screen, I'll be playing the Xbox Live Arcade version because, as you can tell, the Xbox Live Arcade version came out back in 2009. So because of that, yeah, this is the version we're going to be playing through, much like the forms of Banjo-Kazooie. And also, if you couldn't tell already, originally we were going to do this Let's Play back in 2017, but due to the forms of countless amount of delays, much like the forms of Knight's Journey of Dreams, that we figured I was able to do this game for reals without any, delays or anything else to be more specific. So, I figured I was able to try to do that. So because of that though, yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to able to doing Banjo-Tooie after when Sonic dismanaged to tackle through Banjo-Kazooie back in Journey forms of in May. So we figured that today's day is of course the 1st of September today, in this case in 2021, that we figured I was able to tackle through Banjo-Tooie on the Xbox Live Arcade release of the game, although originally I was going to be able to play the N64 version, but unfortunately though, I was able to take a break on capture footage on N64 stuff. Although this is basically still the exact same game as the original, aside from enhanced graphics and all that stuff. So either way though, yeah, let's dive right into Banjo-Tooie, and as you can tell, that has a very similar menu structure, very similar to the original game. And also, as you can see, we have ourselves our weird icons in that file selection screen, which I'll discuss on that in a second, because, as you can tell, that we, in addition to able to have ourselves 3 save files, which it actually includes Banjo, Kazooie, and Mumbo Jumbo, and also, get this, is that you have multitude of options, like for instance, you can delete files or copy files, or you can able to actually play replayability, which I'll talk more about that in a moment. And also, this is the first time ever in a Banjo-Kazooie game that actually features multiplayer, which is pretty cool if you ask me, back in the day. Journey forms within 2000, which I can't even believe this game is pretty much 2 decades old, well, let's just say 21 years old almost. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, yeah, what's up with the forms of the SNS kind of icon right there? Well, much like the Xbox Live Arcade release of Banjo-Kazooie, this will actually features the stop and swap feature, which I'll discuss on that in the future. So let's begin with Banjo-Tooie for the Nintendo 64/Xbox Live Arcade. But first of all, we'll watch this very long opening sequence of the whole entire series. So, 2 years have passed since Gruntilda the Witch was defeated by Banjo and Kazooie. That seems true after the events of the original game for sure, while saving Tootie. After falling from her tower, she was buried underground where she remained until this very day. Oh, I see how this goes though, huh? Especially noticeable that, you know, this game takes place after the events of the original Banjo-Kazooie game, like usually the original game came out in 1998, whilst this game came out in 2000, so it's like 2 years. So, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Especially noticeable after dealing with Gruntilda from the final boss of the game while trying to utilize the Ginotura. I can't pronounce that particular thing very well because it has been a while since I actually played Banjo-Kazooie, but regardless of everything else though, since we've already done a Let's Play of the game, we can now dive right into the sequel, which honestly, that's usually, relatively speaking, it does feel kind of dark around here this time around though, especially usually in the first game, everything's all bright with all that weather conditions and everything, but as far as I'm aware, that the weather condition out there, in this game in particular, is actually Kazooie, you're always being greedy sometimes, even especially noticeable just trying to win money for, gambling stuff. I just realized they're playing a poker card game, which is kind of weird if you ask me, but regardless of such, yeah, that's actually pretty swell. Meanwhile, back outside though, well, Blanco just struggling, just trying to shove over the boulder out after the events of the original game ended, so, except now that everything else is entirely stormy outside, which, I almost thought to myself about the fact that in the original game, it's like in pure nighttime without any like rainy weathers on site. Whilst in this game in particular, it's all stormy and everything, so... yeah, that definitely seems like it, so, uh-oh, it looks like we stumbled across a something like a drill, vehicle, which everything else will start to shake, so... yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can usually think about it. So yeah, most of these characters are back ever since the original game. Like, we still have, you know, Banjo and Kazooie, of course. In addition to the forms of, Mumbo Jumbo is back again, just like in the original game, as well as Bottles. In addition to Plum-Go, like as you saw from the earliest point, as well as the forms of the title screen. Speaking of the title screen this time around though, unfortunately though, unlike the original game, though we don't get ourselves our amazing fanfare intro sequence, unlike the original game, because in the original game's intro cutscene, before you get to the title screen, is so timeless and epic, even especially noticeable for classic's sake. But as a result though, we didn't get it this time around in this game, so I guess that makes it totally obvious, because we didn't see Tootie around here somewhere, Banjo's sister. Oh, speaking of new characters, oh, geez, she looks a bit thin. But anyway, oh, I see, so basically there are, I would say, Grunty's sisters, I see. That's actually kinda interesting, to say the least. Especially that these are the new characters introduced in the Banjo Kazooie universe, so yeah, that's pretty swell, if I do say so for myself. And yeah, believe me, it's the fact that, like I said before, that the intro cutscene lasts about, I would say, 10 minutes roughly. 10 whole minutes in this intro cutscene, which is kind of long compared to the original game's, I would say like 3 minutes length? Or 5 minutes length or something? I have no idea. So it looks like Mumbo Jumbo's gonna check outside, and yeah, that's pretty much as far as I can say about it. Although, usually relatively speaking, unlike the original version of the game, that unfortunately though, much like the Xbox Live Arcade version of the original game, some of these cutscenes doesn't go in exactly the perfect pace, but apart from those aside things though, it might not be so bad after all, so just want to classify that for the sake of nitpicking aside of things, so... in fact, usually relatively speaking, there's not much else I can honestly talk about for the sake of the whole entire story. It's just the fact that, well, after when, you know, Gruntilda's defeated in the original game and somehow got smashed into that rock, or that boulder rock I should say, and basically that, well, she won't be able to actually get out of there, but it wasn't until in this game that one of her sisters managed to cast a spell to, well, smash that rock. Like bursts. And then somehow after dealing with that, then the rock is gone, and I get the feeling that Gruntilda, she might come back to life? And holy macaroni, she's now actually a lot different now. Like, to be more specifically, she now has skeleton bones. So yeah, she's actually a lot different now compared to full green body. So, although she still has the exact same voice, so yeah, that's the only charming part. Oh god. Plum-Go, what are you doing? Trying to lose her eye like that? I mean, what is this, like, kind of similar to when Monsters Inc., that one of the monsters almost lost their eye? I get ahead of myself, but anyway. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of times that, as you see on screen, that there's going to be some awkward pause moments here and there on the Xbox Live Arcade version, whilst the N64 version runs flawlessly. So because of that, though, I just want to classify that for that differences anyway. Uh-oh, it looks like that Gruntilda spotted Mumbo Jumbo, and basically she's trying to able to do something for it, so... And in fact, she still uses her spell ever since on the first game, that she uses the projectile magic spell to able to actually just trying to chase after Mumbo Jumbo. And meanwhile, back in Banjo's house, after, you know, Banjo and Kazooie and Bottles, the mole, having a lot of conversation, And every once in a while, Mumbo Jumbo somehow barged in and then warns them three about Grunty's back. So, yeah, that could be for bad news. And somehow Gruntilda just managed to spot it. He informs of Banjo's house straight after. So it looks like she's gonna cast the evil maniacal spell on that particular location. And, well, not much else to say, really. I mean, usually, yeah, she wants her revenge. So yeah, it looks like we have to get out before it's too late. While Bottles, on the other hand, cannot be fooled by that. But, well, you should have to evacuate Bottles, because obviously if you don't evacuate at all, meaning that you're probably gonna get, well, destroyed, or to be more specifically in this game, you get killed by that. So it looks like Gruntilda just managed to escape, and she managed to run away from that in the process. And all the while, we actually come across into kind of like a similar enemies as in the forms of the original game for Surely. I can see how this is going. So yeah, they're somehow trying to able to get away, and meanwhile, Klongo is going to be left behind. No, Klongo, you stay here. I'll be back. Have no fear. And then now it's becoming daytime where everything else is all bright and everything. Despite, well, you'll see what happens until whenever we're able to see that specific scene where Banjo's house has been completely destroyed. So yeah, there's nothing we can do in the Banjo's house anymore. Like, we can't play a poker game anymore, especially after what Grunty has done. And yeah. So, for the most part, Banjo Kazooie are safe, in addition to Mumbo Jumbo, but wait a second, where's Bottles? Oh no. He got involved with that attack. And unfortunately, he died. And to make matters worse than that, yeah, like I just said earlier, the Grunty just killed Bottles. No, we no longer can have him for a tutorial moment, unlike the original game. I guess there might be something else that can follow, but it's kind of sad, honestly, able to actually see him dead like that. Hey. So, yeah, it looks like we have to able to, like, kick Witch's butt again. I've had a feeling that it won't be easy this time around, which, yeah, it's gonna be a lot of tough challenges, you know, Banjo, but we'll see. So yeah, here we are now onto the actual gameplay of Banjo-Tooie. If you guys ever played the original Banjo-Kazooie before, you know exactly how this plays out. But first of all, before we get into the actual main gameplay, this is what it looks like now whenever we go inside Banjo's house. Yeah, everything's all deserted now. Especially noticeable, there's no bed, no boiling pots to cook with the ingredients with, and in addition to that, well, the table's been completely wrecked. And also that, you know, Bottles is dead, so because of that though, he's now becoming a ghost. So as a result though, yeah, it's kind of sad to see him dead like that. So hopefully we'll try to sort this out eventually. So either way, yeah, this is what the gameplay looks like of Banjo-Tooie. For those who ever played the original Banjo-Kazooie before, you know exactly how this plays out. Except that basically some of these movesets that you've gotten from the original game is now there from the get-go, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Like, you can still perform, you know, the flying feather technique, as well as the invincibility, move, while trying to use the gold feathers and stuff like that, which is pretty awesome. And also, you can still use the blue eggs, which, we'll discuss on that in a second, because, as you can tell, that, Klongo, he's pretty much gonna go inside the cave, as you see on screen. And, basically, that, except the fact that the biggest difference is that, well, I'll just explain more that in a second. So as you can see, we picked up the gold feathers, the very recognizable items from the likes of the original game, and also say applies to those little, honey right here that allows you to able to actually have some health bars and stuff like that, to increase one of your health bars, I should say. Except, as you can tell, unlike the original game, that in the original game does have a life system. Like every time you see that specific golden statue of Banjo's all muscly and everything, well, the extra life system is being completely removed. So that's actually kind of a good thing. Especially noticeable that you really don't want to get too much frustration if you keep on dying throughout the level. So because of that though, yeah, I'm very glad that the life system is been removed. So yeah, that probably explains the case right there. And yeah, before we get into more details about this, let me just fly over to Gruntilda's lair right here quickly. So because of that though, we just want to see how this place actually looks like now. And it's all pretty much destroyed. So likely the picture frame has now been ripped apart, and also that we can no longer go onto that specific slope. So meaning that going to this particular Gruntilda's lair is pretty useless unless there's actually that returning character, Cheeto the Magical Spellbook, makes a return. So, unlike the original game, they have to find him in 3 specific spots, depending on specific transformations you transform into. Like, the first one is obviously you have to transform into a crocodile, and the second one you have to transform into a pumpkin banjo, and in the third Cheeto Spellbook, you have to able to find Cheeto the Magical Spellbook when you're trying to utilize the water level system. Whilst in here this time around though, in order to able to actually get some specific cheats and stuff like that, we need to collect a certain amount of those pages, because as you can tell, that usually relatively speaking is the fact that he no longer has one of his pages, so we have to get them back in specific locations. So now, when I say the actual specific locations, like for instance, for example, there is one of them over to that specific cave over there that requires either flying or trying to utilize the actual shark jump from the likes of the original game. And if you seriously found one of those pages, then, well, you can able to actually see that little cinematic scene right there that basically Cheeto is trying to tell us we need to find 5 of them in order to able to actually get one of those Cheetos or cheats, depending of the forms of how much pages you've gotten. So, because yes, as far as you guys can clearly tell, this is going to be a much more open world filled game. So because of that though, meaning that this Let's Play of Banjo-Tooie is going to be much longer than the original game. Because like I said before, in addition to able to becoming more likely an open world style of gameplay now, in addition to that though, there's going to be tons of collectibles to collect. Like, you're still able to collect some of these familiar collectibles, which I'll discuss some more about it, until specifically on Friday, because, well, yeah, I'll discuss on that in a second. So, because of that, oh, looks like we meet up with Clonko over there, on that particular cave segment, so because of that, yeah, Clonko, minion with a mission. So yeah, he's going to tell us about the fact that, well, we've met again and stuff like that, and it looks like we get the feeling that in addition to able to actually go into the open world style of gameplay and stuff like that, but also get this, that they actually introduce into ourselves proper boss fights, which technically in the Banjo Kazooie game, the original game I should say, that technically it does have boss fights, but only for a minimal amount. Like, you're able to do it with like enemy rush and stuff like that. Although the only boss you're able to come across into the original game, that is the final boss against with Gruntilda. Whilst in this game this time around though, now actually has boss fights, the actual boss fights. Meaning that the first boss in the game we actually fight against is Clonko. And basically, he's pretty simple, you just have to keep on doing that specific beak attack, and then if you do that for about, let's just say 3 times in this fight, and basically if you do 3 hits on him, then basically he'll be done for good. Although, if you get enough hits on him, every once in a while though, he'll activate the shield, so just in case he'll able to get himself his protection. Although, as soon as he grows back up again, or he grows in size again I should say, then it's your chance to able to attack him. So again, 3 hits on him, and he's done for good. Or is he? Well, this is the beginning portion of the game, as far as I'm aware, and yes, I got my first achievement on this game specifically so far, so meaning about the fact that, well, potentially speaking, that I will able to try to aim for the 100% completion. Although, I didn't play this game as much as the original game though, just because the original game is like super timeless, and especially noticeable, it's all like the best game, or in this case, the best collectathon games ever, along with Super Mario 64, along with Donkey Kong 64 as well. So, yeah, you probably get the idea about that. So, anyways, let's go ahead and grab some more health widgets for trying to increase our health a little bit. But, again, there's not much as far as I can say about it. I do apologize that the actual commentary gets a bit tad awkward, well, nowhere near as awkward as the forms of how it does it back in, I would say back in 2017/18, that, as I said this before, hopefully we're not gonna delay things that much this time around though, because obviously back in the day, we keep on delaying things so many times, so because of that though, hopefully that's not gonna happen for this year this time around in 2021, so meaning about the fact that it will be uploaded scheduled for Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, because, you know, this is gonna be a much longer game than the original game, so anyways, here we go on to the forms of a new location we can able to explore around on, and that is the forms of the Isle of Hogs. So yeah, that seems a pretty interesting world to explore, which meaning about the fact that this is going to be equivalent to Grunty's or Gruntilda's lair from the original game. But first of all, let's meet up with King Jingaling on this throne room. So basically, it's like a king of Jinjos as far as I'm concerned. So meaning that, yes, Jinjos are back from the original game. So yeah, we're able to come across into those Jinjos for quite some time, until specifically on Friday. Because like I said before, the uploading schedules on this game is the fact that it's going to be on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And as far as another days are concerned though, well, I'll let some toys are able to actually mention more about it. So yeah, you probably get the gist of it though, even though I would like to be able to read the dialogue for this point, but honestly guys, I have no words to think about it. Although, to be fair though, if you really want to watch the forms of the actual dialogue, then by all means you can able to read it, but I don't, because obviously that with text go really fast on the forms of the HD version of the game. And also, we got ourselves our returning Jiggies! Yay! Our first Jiggy in the game, so to speak. That, in order to get that though, you must meet up with, well, this particular King, Jiggy, well, I have no idea why I say this right now, just because, again, it has been a while since I actually played Banjo Kazooie, especially noticeable with, I always play as them from the likes of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, so, yeah, I must admit that I do apologize for that. So, speaking of which though, actually, for what I've heard about the fact that there might be a rumored Nintendo Direct out there, for this month in particular, which I was really hoping that would be the case, especially noticeable that we keep on having those September Directs since in 2016 on the 3DS Directs and stuff, so anyways, after when you talk to him for long enough as it goes by, and basically he'll activate the actual door cage that allows us to continue our progressioning, so yeah, that's pretty handy, especially noticeable that our adventure begins for Banjo-Tooie, so either way though, not bad for a king, huh? Yeah, his strange pet thingy was cool. Let's go and find that Jimmy Wiggy guy, then. Meanwhile, at the very top of the forms of somewhere above the skies above, oh my god, what is this little, telephone kind of weapon thingy? I have no words to say about this, so. And also that, from what I've heard about the rumors about, possibly we might get ourselves Game Boy and Game Boy Color stuff on the Nintendo Switch Online membership service or something. But then again, though, we'll have to wait and see what happens in later on throughout the whole month. So, yeah, you get the gist of it. So, yeah, it looks like that those witches are about to be able to have a discussion about what can they do to able to restore Grunty's body restored. So, meaning that they're going to be using the Big O Blaster, in this case BOB for short, So yeah, this is gonna be pretty much a threatening weapon for them. So because of that though, I wonder what they're trying to do, I wonder. Although mind you, if you ever played the game before, then you know exactly what that calls us to do. So yeah, so it looks like that she's gonna have a plan. So yeah, there's not much else I can honestly say about this scene right here, so I think I'm afraid for this point, guys, it kind of feels like a semi-blind playthrough, because I haven't played that game that much, though, but apart from those side things, though, I definitely heard about the game, so it looks like it's gonna be, you know, pretty good still, so because of that, though, well, it will get downhill until Nuts and Bolts came out, which, yeah, I'm sure that most of you probably exactly know what I'm gonna talk about, so and it looks like they're trying to able to press the button, so yeah, they're gonna, oh gosh, they're gonna suck up everything? I mean, what is this, like Sonic Lost World syndrome or something? Even though technically this game did it first when it comes to like sucking the life forces up. Even though that usually in Sonic Lost World that I believe the Deadly Six managed able to actually use the suck up machines, they're able to suck up nature. Except rather than just trying to suck up the entire nature, instead they somehow trying to able to suck up a lot of life forces for anyone, including, well, usually relatively speaking that, well, oh god, never mind him. What about that traitor, Jingy Ling? Oh my god, everything else is deserted around here. And he's now becoming a zombified. Ha ha ha! He's just a zombie now. Oh dear. Successfully BOB was Jingling's life force we have. Oh, that's what the ultimate goal was, huh? Looks kind of threatening and dark at the same time, so yeah, rather than becoming like a kid-friendly kind of syndrome or something, well, it might be hard to explain because I did not know the story all that well, but either way. And by the way, usually relatively speaking, as you notice on that bottom right corner on the screen, that in certain cutscenes you can now able to actually skip those specific cutscenes as you see on that button icon, but I don't need to worry about that because I wanted to let you guys watch the whole entire cutscenes throughout because this is my playthrough after all, so yeah, with all that out of the way, and let's go ahead and continue things on and explore inside Bottle's house. That looks kind of similar to Banjo's house, kind of think about it. Except the fact that Banjo's house was in blue, whilst in Bottle's house is actually likely in brown. So, yeah, that should be worthwhile for noticing this. So, hello there, Banjo. How are we today? Pretty good, Mrs. Bottles, and yourself? Oh, fine, fine. Tell her about Ghostly Boy. Keep quiet, Kazooie. What was that? Is Bottles okay? He should be back from Spiral Mountain for his dinner soon. He'll never miss his dinner, you know? I'm sure he'll be back soon, Mrs. B. So I'm presuming that, well, it's kinda hard to explain because I know for the fact that, well, you know, it's gonna be my semi-blind playthrough of the game, like I said, so either way though. Hello, Banjo! Hi, Goggles. Since you and Daddy are such good friends, I'll give you these prototype glasses he's working on. Did he finish working on them by any chances? Oh yes, I believe they're called the Amaze-Gaze glasses. How do they work? Well, when you're in Banjo's eyes view and you press use the right stick to like go into first person view, and yeah, that's something I would classify for noticing this. Back in the 2017 playthrough, despite the fact that it's no longer there anymore because of countless amount of delays and everything, well usually, if we go into first person view, you can able to actually have an option to zoom in or zoom out. And also, I realized something right from the start. We got ourselves familiar posters of one of those characters from Jet Force Gemini. So, also made by Rare, by the way, for those of you probably wondering, because yes, that game also came out on the Nintendo 64, but I'm presuming that game came out in 1999, the same year as when Donkey Kong 64 rolled around on that particular system. So, yeah, because obviously this game came out, in terms of the Rare games, as far as I'm concerned, that this game came out, as you can see on screen I'm playing on right now. Banjo-Tooie came out after, like, I would say Jet Force Gemini or Donkey Kong 64, even though it might be hard to explain about this for the sake of time, so either way though. So yeah, that's as far as I can usually try to able to discuss upon of how Banjo-Tooie plays out. Although, eventually, since this is a sequel after all, this meaning about the fact that in addition to able to stumble across into ourselves our familiar, you know, movesets from the original game, like we're still able to utilize Blue Eggs for shooting stuff, and even pooped out of the Kazooie's butt or something like that, and also trying to utilize Gold Feathers for invincibility, and red feathers to able to fly around on specific spots, and also that we got ourselves Talon Trot, which I'm glad that move is always a thing, especially noticeable that traveling through the large places like that makes everything else a lot faster. So because of that though, I'm very glad this was still a thing. And also with the ground pound, and you name the rest. So either way though, in addition to that, we also might be able to stumble across some even more movesets, like usually relatively speaking some new ones, which I'll discuss more about until specifically on Friday, which meaning that I don't think we can do that much for this video, apart from the fact that we stumbled across Jiggy Wiggy right there, in the actual temple right there. So in order to able to actually access to these specific worlds this time around, normally in the original game, basically you have to find those specific picture frames if depending on how much Jiggies you've collected. Basically you have to fill up the entire missing pieces throughout, and basically you can able to actually open up one of the worlds in Gruntilda's lair, and basically it's like, well, take Mumble's Mountain for instance, or Mumble Mountain for example, that if you grab one of the Jiggies, well basically if you stand on the Jiggy podium, basically that allows you to able to actually just to fill in that specific Jiggy on that picture frame, and if you accomplish that, then you would able to actually go ahead and open up one of the worlds. In this game this time around though, is the fact that, well, if you grab that one Jiggy for example, and if you somehow meet up with Jiggy Wiggy inside a Jiggy Wiggy temple, and basically that you would be able to accept the fact that, well, you remember the forms of that particular bonus content on Banjo-Kazooie, if you're trying to accomplish the forms of Bottle's secret challenges, that you have to fill up the entire Jiggy puzzle pieces into that specific picture to get those specific cheat codes on if you're trying to able to deal with the forms of Treasure Trove Cove passwords, or specifically some of these cheat codes and stuff like that. Well, this is kind of equivalent to this, except, well, for the sake of world progressioning. So, greetings, old chosen one. You have entered the secret temple of Jiggy Wiggy. Approach the golden Malvioth if you wish to prove yourself worthy. So yeah, basically, since we got one Jiggy so far, and basically if you stumble across for this particular part right there, although mind you, we have to press the B buttons in order to do this time around, and basically, this is what usually happens. Basically, remember the forms of the original games, Bottles Challenge and stuff like that? It's kind of like that, except that it makes everything else a bit easier, just because in this first one, basically we need to be able to fill up on the exact spots, so yeah, that's basically how this goes, basically. You still need to worry about the time limit, though, still. So, yeah, they always ended up in the same place this time around, though, as opposed to the original game, that depending on specific challenges you go to, basically, it always comes off as, like, specific random spots on those specific Jiggies you have to place. So, yeah, the first one is pretty simple, and the first world we might able to unlock is a pretty standard, easy world when you get the hang of it, though. Although, mind you though, I will talk more about that until specifically on Friday, like I said. So, either way though, for the most part, since we complete one of the challenges, and basically Jiggy Wiggy will unleash the specific power that actually is somehow managed able to do something for us. Like, for instance, this is the first challenge, and this will pretty much unlocks the first world almost right near to the temple, and basically this will open up this world. God, that laser was so satisfying. Even especially noticeable with that specific sound effect, it's always like super satisfying, so... Oh, and also much like the original game, I forgot to mention is the fact that this game has widescreen support, so just in case if you're probably wondering that some of the stuff is stretched out a bit. So yeah, you get the idea about that, so yeah. And now we're back into the Isle of Hanks and stuff. So yeah, I think suffice to say we got the ending stuff at this point right here. So join me next time for more of Let's Play of Banjo-Tooie, and that is the fact that we'll pretty much go ahead and get things started with the first world in Banjo-Tooie. That is, I would say, Mayhem Temple. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.